So I don't think we're going to surprise anyone when we talk about home prices dropping
Yeah,
in many parts of the country.
prices are dropping in many parts of the country right now. We're going to take a look at that over a series of a couple of videos, but we're going to start today with why they went up so much over the past couple of years, particularly since the start of the pandemic. We're going to look at 4 reasons in particular. Take a moment right now, see if you can guess those 4 reasons. I am Eric Martin.
And I am Emily Austin, and together we are Austin and Martin.
And today we're going to take a look at why prices ran up so much over the past couple of years in the housing market nationwide, but here in Seattle in particular. If we look at this first chart, you're going to see pretty significant increases. This chart goes back to 2019. What we're really focused on is the start of the pandemic, which is kind of the dip here in 2020. You'll see some really big gains between then and now, and in particular, look at the huge jump at the start of this year. That's really unprecedented.
Right, and the last couple of years were quite an anomaly. So
Absolutely.
I think we can say that it was not sustainable and it was far from normal.
So there were 4 things that drove the gains over the past 2 years. Number 1 has to do with demographics. What group of buyers has entered the market, Emily?
Millennials in a big way.
Millennials are the biggest demographic right now that's buying houses. Millennials, in many cases, have the funds to buy houses with because they've got good, high-paying tech jobs. I think what's also interesting as the millennials come in and start buying is to note that some of the older generations are staying in their houses longer.
For instance, boomers.
Boomers are holding onto their houses longer, and as a result, there's fewer houses for this incoming group of buyers, this very large incoming group of buyers to deal with. Number 2 is housing supply, and this is no surprise. We've been talking about this one for a while. What happened to the housers? What happened to the home builders after the Great Recession?
Well, many of them were decimated and quite honestly never returned to the building industry. So we have been working from a deficit of units for quite a while.
Yeah, this chart I think shows it very clearly that we're just undersupplied and underbuilt in terms of the number of housing units that have been coming on the market. That shows up not just in the gains in prices that we've seen, it shows up with homelessness, it shows up with a whole number of issues that are tied with lack of housing.
Including rising rent prices.
Absolutely,
for sure.
Absolutely. Number 3, directly COVID related, and that's the Great Migration.
Right, we hear that time and time again. And what is the Great Migration?
Great Migration is the movement of people. We've seen so many people moving over the past couple of years. It's tied to the Great Resignation. A lot of people left their jobs and said, I'm going to go do something different, somewhere different. A lot of people stayed in their jobs, but suddenly had the ability to work from home, so home could be anywhere. This chart shows that most of that migration was out of places like Seattle, big metropolitan areas, and into smaller cities, and really a big influx of people into small towns, which had really for the past decade been losing people, suddenly had a bunch of people moving in.
Right, I think people realized they could get a lot more house for their money. But the downside of that was a lot of people in those small towns were having a hard time affording the rise in prices.
So the Great Migration continues, the movement continues. It's going to be interesting to see how that one plays out over the next couple of years. I have a suspicion that a lot of people got to those small towns and then couldn't find a coffee shop and will be moving probably to the bigger towns. I think the small metropolitan areas are going to continue to see gains, but time will tell. And then the last bit that obviously we're all familiar with at this point are the low interest rates. So we had really, really historically low rates. If you look at this chart from 2020 to about April of this year, we had rates down around or below 3%. So that made houses affordable. And so we had millennials coming in with a strong desire to buy. We had low inventory from years of underbuilding. We had people wanting to move for a number of reasons, and then we made it easy for them to do so by keeping interest rates low.
And so once those rates have gone up, they've certainly knocked some of the buyers out of the pool.
Absolutely. It's important to note here as we move forward into the next couple of videos of this series is only one of those four factors has changed. Only interest rates have changed. The other three are still in place. So again, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. If you found this useful, hit the subscribe button. If you think somebody else might find it useful, share it with them.
I am Emily Austin,
And I am Eric Martin.
and together we are Austin and Martin. Let us guide you home.
Thanks, everybody.